Hi, welcome back to another episode of Three Siblings Walk Into a Bar. I'm Storm, the youngest sibling.
I'm Deshay, the oldest sibling.
And I'm Sage, the middle sibling.
I literally was thinking, before we started, I always say to my head, so I don't mess it up. And I was like, I'm Storm, the oldest. I mean, no, you're the youngest. Say it right. Oh my gosh.
I mean, if you want to be the oldest, you can.
Oh, Lord. I'm like, I can't, y'all.
I don't know where our order got messed up or why we started. When we first started doing this, the logic was there, but now we just don't know what's going on anymore.
No. No idea.
Oh, well. I wonder if people are sitting there and they'd be like, nope, they did it wrong. Nope, wrong order. Kids are wrong.
Y'all are stupid.
Yeah, multiple times, yes.
Yeah, well, we were
again.
just talking. We were just talking about last week's episode. My mentor texted me and was like, "I like y'all's new guest star," and apparently you can hear my cat throughout the entire episode. So I'm sorry, but yeah, hopefully he won't do it this time.
That's okay. Everybody likes cats.
That's true.
If you're not a cat person, see your way out.
Exactly. There's the door.
I like them.
I love cats. They're my favorite.
But I can't have them. But I like them.
Oh, yeah.
My husband would die.
Literally, right. I get onto him because every time he walks into my house, he's like, "Where's the cat?" And then loves all over her, and then starts itching and I'm like, stop, get away from the cat.
Yeah. It's so funny that people with allergies to cats love cats the most.
Oh my gosh, yeah. He does. He loves them.
Well, I think it's just because it's one of those you don't really get the chance to love them, you know?
Yeah.
And so when you finally do, and it's just a hot ass mess. And then it would get really bad because the cat that I have sheds pretty bad. And when I used to watch Deegan, he would come in sweaty from work, and then he would go pet her, and then the cat hair would cling to him. And then it would get so bad. And I'm like, what are you? Stop touching that down. Just walk away. I know she's cute, but leave her alone.
Get the spray water bottle and start
spraying him. Yes, get away from the cat. So I don't feel 110% today. And I feel like my face looks like it because it looks very red. I'm going to try to. If I sound like I'm falling asleep, it's just because I don't feel good. But I am really excited about this story. I watched a TV show on Discovery Plus.
Okay.
I will give you two my login if you don't have Discovery Plus because you need to watch it. I'm about to literally play by play it for you because it's really the only information I can find on it. But it's called Alien Abduction, Travis Walton story. Do you know the story?
No.
That name.
At least I don't know the name.
Yeah.
You might know it once I start talking about it. It's a really famous story. But it's so good. The story was it's not a movie. What is it? The
episode?
What is it? Documentary, maybe? So good. They did a really good job. I know this isn't really something we've done before, and I told Richard, and I was like, oh, I gotta go finish my notes. I gotta go finish watching my show to finish my notes. And he was like, what are you doing? And I was like, oh, I'm doing an alien story. And he was like, that's not paranormal. And I was like, well, it's kind of paranormal. I was like, paranormal adjacent. He was like, but that's also not true crime. And I was like, well, once you hear the story, it is very true crime. So
yeah, it could be.
You don't know it's not true, sir.
Yeah. So, but it's really good. Do for real go watch the episode. It's got everybody in it, all the people that were involved, and they're all interviewed and stuff. It's really cool. Okay, I'm nervous. So I don't know how long this is going to be. Hopefully it's not like 5 minutes, but we also know that I like to go into extreme detail about stuff that doesn't matter. So maybe
we
I
can
make
also
it longer,
talk
but
about
it's okay.
aliens for a long time, so I think you'll be okay.
Oh, I love
You'll be all
aliens.
right.
They're like my favorite. I love them, and they scare the shit out of me. Like, I'm so scared. Like, there are things that I know, I feel like paranormal stuff only happens to people that like invite that into their life and like
Yeah.
are very like, and I'm very like, nope, no, no. Like, I will do anything out of my power to like block that away from me. But I feel like aliens are kind of the same thing. You know, like when you're like going out of your way to like find them and research them. So I usually get a little like, I'll watch this movie that I know is fake about them stuff. But anyway, they scare the crap out of me. I'm terrified of them. So let's learn about them.
Yes.
All right. So Travis Walton was 22 years old. And in 1975, he joined a 7-man logging crew in Snowflake, Arizona. So there was a group of 7 men, and they had a contract to clear out a very large area of woods in Arizona. So that was, they had a certain amount of time. They had to get all this cleared out. So they were out there all day, every day almost, cutting down trees, cutting the trees down so they could dispose of them. So they were out there a lot in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Mike was the boss. So he was the chief, is what they called him. Travis Walton was dating Mike's sister. So that's how they knew each other. John, who was also part of this crew, is Travis's. I was a little confused by this. It said it was Travis's brother, but I think it was his brother-in-law. Because when you hear the rest of the story, like, he's got another brother that really was like I don't know. Doesn't matter. Okay, and then there's Dwayne and Alan, who were friends of John's, and then Kenny and Steve, and they were just kind of like employees. They just kind of were part of the group.
These are a lot of very generic white boy names, and I'm having trouble following at the moment, but continue.
So you don't really need to. There's not very, I mean, just remember Travis. He's going to be your main focal point.
Okay.
So on November 5th, 1975, the logging crew, so, you know, they worked from sunup to sundown. So the sun started going down, so they started packing up to get ready to go. After they got all packed up and were leaving, it was pretty dark outside. It was nighttime. Mike, who's the head guy, he was driving the truck, which everybody was inside, back to get home. They were driving and they saw this light coming in through the trees. And they thought, one of them thought it was a moon. They were like, oh, it's just the moon. But then he turned and looked through the other window and the moon was on the other side. So it wasn't the moon. And then somebody thought that maybe somebody had like a fire going. And so they were just seeing the fire through. Somebody thought they were those like big lights, you know, that like construction people have. So that you can see. Somebody thought it was those. But you turn around the corner so you could see where the light was. And there was a craft hovering over, like in the trees, hovering over the ground. And it was glowing. And they said it was completely still and quiet. Like it was just hovering, which always scares me because it's not like it was like spinning to keep itself hovering. It's not loud. Like that's always my biggest thing. I'm like, you know how loud airplanes are. And then this thing that's in the sky and it's completely quiet.
No thanks.
So scary. Out of all the things that could scare me, that's pretty terrifying.
Oh yeah, exactly.
So Mike was coming to a stop, and before he even stopped the car, Travis was out of the truck and he started walking to the UFO. What are you doing? Don't do that.
Country boys.
Yeah. So while he's walking up, he stops at like right before he gets close enough to it, and everything starts shaking. Like Mike's saying that he can feel the steering wheel of his truck like vibrating.
Oh.
And at that point, all of them are like yelling at him and they're like, get back in the truck. Come on, hurry up, get in the truck. And he's just standing there. And they're like, come, Travis, let's go. Quit being an idiot. Like, you got your look. Let's go.
Yeah.
You saw it. Now go.
We're done now.
Yeah.
Like, we're ready to bounce, y'all. Like, let's go. So all of a sudden after the shaking, when it started shaking, it had this low humming noise that started coming out of it. And then all of a sudden this blue light shot out and hit Travis in the chest. And one of the guys said that you could see, like, he flew back a good 10, 15 feet once this thing hit him in the chest. And they said he bounced off the ground.
No.
And when that happened, Mike took off. He was like, nope, we're out of here.
What a good friend.
Like, bye.
Yeah.
You're on your own,
listen,
dude.
If you're gonna be the dum-dum that gets out of the truck, you're gonna be the dum-dum that gets left in my book. Because I'd be like, sorry, bye.
You're right.
Like, I'm not getting shot with that blue light.
Oh my God.
All right, so they drove. Mike said it had to have been less than a mile, maybe about a quarter mile. He drove and then he stopped. And then they all get out of the car and they're all arguing. And Mike's like, no, we have to go back. Like, Mike and Travis were like best friends.
Yeah.
And he was like, we have to go back. We have to get him. We left him there. Like, we got to go. And then a few of the other ones were like, what the hell are you talking about? No, like, we are going to keep going. And so while they are arguing, they see this bright light, and then you see the thing just go, whoop, like, they said it was the quickest thing they've ever seen, but it just flew away. It was gone. So they all got a little less afraid, and they were like, okay, we got to go back. We got to go drive back and find Travis. We got to help him. They said it was really slowly that they drove back because they're all afraid, but it was a slow drive back.
Yeah.
And they got to the clearing, and they said they walked completely around the clearing. They went through the bushes thinking maybe he like crawled to hide in a bush. And there's no sign of him anywhere. Like, he's gone. They can't find him.
Oh, no.
So eventually they left, and they said driving back into town was probably the most emotional drive ever.
My gosh.
Like, their friend was gone. Somebody they just spent all these months working with day to night.
And the guilt they must feel too for like
That's what Mike said. He was like, I felt so guilty that I left him. But I'm like, you just saw this dude get zapped with a laser or a light or something. Like, your fight or flight's gonna instantly kick in, and like yours was flight. Like, you were like, let's get the hell out of here.
Right.
So they got back into town. There was a phone, like a pay phone, right, as they got back into town. And so they called the sheriff's department. Chuck Ellison is who showed up. He was a deputy on duty. When he got there and he was talking to them, he said he purposely got really close to each of them individually just to smell them, to see if maybe they smelled like alcohol or marijuana. And he said they didn't smell of anything. He decided to talk to them each individually just to kind of try to figure out what was going on. And when they told him that Travis had gotten abducted by aliens, he called the sheriff, and he was like, we need to have the sheriff here.
Yeah.
Let me have you speak to my manager.
Yeah.
We're like, I think that's what needs to happen.
Yeah.
And it was safe to say, like, they didn't believe him. So the sheriff and a bunch of other deputies showed up because, this is now a missing person. Like, somebody's gone. So the sheriff and a few other deputies showed up, and none of them believed him. Like, they were like, okay, sure. So the sheriff told Mike and two other officers that they were going to go back to where this abduction, quote unquote, happened. And he told the other guys, you go back into town and make sure you don't leave. You stay in town. Don't leave.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'm like, I get,
Yep,
right? Like, this dude is gone. Obviously, something happened.
So they're just treating
But
it as
they
a
get back
missing
to
person at this point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they get back to the clearing and they're looking around, and Ellison and Gillespie, the two officers, were like, we were specifically looking for burn marks, maybe or like skid marks from some sort of airplane or craft or something have landed there.
Yeah.
They were looking for footprints, anything. There's nothing, absolutely nothing in that clearing. They can't find footprints. They can't find burn marks. They can't find a skid mark. They can't find broken trees. Like, nothing. Nothing's wrong with this area. Like, it just looks normal.
Oh. This is terrifying.
So the next day,
yeah,
right? It's so scary.
It really is.
It's terrified the poop out of me.
Like,
I hate it. Okay, so November 6th, so the day after he was misting. Okay, so the next morning they did a search of the woods. So there's about 150 people that showed up, and dogs, everything. Everybody came out trying to find Travis. When they had talked to Travis's mom, she seemed really upset, and she just kept saying, they got him.
Oh my God.
I'm like, that's weird.
That is weird.
Like, why? Like,
did she
like
know
she
something? Yeah.
That's odd.
Huh.
And this was all over local news. So like all the newspapers had this information, all the like small town news. It was all over that aliens had abducted somebody in our backyard.
Mm-hmm.
Which is already a problem.
Yes.
It's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
So law enforcement still does not believe that he was abducted by aliens. They think something happened. They think maybe that they killed him, or some accident happened that caused his death while working, or something. And Travis's family, specifically Travis's brother, thought that it was some sort of accident happened.
Yeah.
And he died, and now they're just trying to hide it.
They're covering it up. Okay.
Yeah. So the big search party they were broken up into several groups, and each group would have a deputy with it. And then the crew kind of broke up between each group too. And the police officers would tell them, they were like, if you would just tell us where his body was, we could all go home. Like, they do not believe that he's missing. Like, they think that these people know where he is.
They think he, okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, logically, that makes sense, but...
I mean, yes, exactly. Yeah. And at that point, that's when they all realized that they're being looked at for murder. Because I'm assuming that the police officers were probably like, oh, they were abducted, like playing along.
Yeah.
And then at that point, they're like, oh, wait, no, they don't think that he was actually abducted. They think that we killed him, which isn't funny.
I can only imagine.
I'm just thinking like, it's just crazy. And then the crew, so the 7-person crew, so the 6 of them now are even concerned as to why they can't find a body. Like, they're like, okay, so if he's not here, where is he?
Yeah.
Like, if we don't know where he's at. The sheriff's department had requested a Geiger counter. Geiger. So that is something that what's the word? It tests like the levels of radiation. So it's like one of those old machines, that have the little metal rod, and it makes that loud noise, and then the little little needle goes back and forth. So Travis's brother was with the person that was in charge of the Geiger counter.
Mm-hmm.
And he said it terrified the crap out of him because they literally walked into a certain area where the ship was, and the Geiger counter just goes straight to like, oh wow, there's a shit ton of radiation here.
Oh boy.
And then he said they walked about 100 feet and it immediately went back to normal. Like it wasn't like
super
it's slowly,
concentrated.
like it was like radiation and then absolutely none.
Wild.
And he said that's at that point he was like, something happened. Like this is not normal.
Yeah.
So November 7th, 75, they're still looking for Travis. And a large amount of media show up, like all over the world. One of them even said that he thinks that they talked to somebody from Japan.
Oh, wow.
All over the world, everything.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of government cars that showed up, but they were like incognito. Like they didn't, you weren't supposed to know they were government cars.
Right.
And the people that were helping look for Travis and in these government cars were dressed in black.
Oh my God.
Men in Black.
Men in Black. They
Will
were
Smith.
the Men in Black.
Was Will Smith
there?
Yes,
it was Will Smith.
Yes.
So I didn't realize, just because I grew up with those movies, I didn't realize that that's like a real thing. Or like a quote real thing.
Thing. Yeah.
Like they're actually like Men in Black that show up to these like alien things to like check them out and see. I'm like, that would scare the poop out of me. I feel like
literally
more than the aliens.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so now we got all this media showing up. The Men in Black are showing up. One of the guys said that he was at his house and he decided he was going somewhere and he would start walking. And by the time he got there, the Men in Black would be there. And he was like, it was crazy. Like he would be like, I had no idea how they knew that I was headed there, but they would be there before me. And then as I was watching the show longer, I thought, I bet they were watching all of them to see if they were going to like feed Travis. Like if this was like a hoax and they were going to like give him food or water or whatever.
Makes sense.
Then November 8th, they started looking into Alan, who was one of the crewmates. They thought that he had possibly done something to Travis because they had gotten in a large fight beforehand. And he was kind of the, quote, black sheep of the group. And he had had a few run-ins with the law. So at that point, too, the crew decided that they're going to try to stay away from the cops. Like, they're really cracking down as to who they think did it. And, like, they even told Mike, I know you didn't kill him, but I know Alan did, or one of the, I forgot the other one that they named, but I know Alan or blah, blah, blah killed him. And I just need you to tell me where and when and what happened. And so at that point, they were like, okay, we're not going to deal with the police anymore.
Yeah.
And then, so 2 days after that, on the 10th, the whole crew took a polygraph test. Mike in particular was very excited about this because that's going to give them their chance to show we're not lying. We did not murder him. So they all took it. So I guess I didn't know how polygraph tests ran. And I don't know if they're all the same way, but this is how they did theirs. So they would come in. Each person, it took about 2 hours total. And they had a certain amount of questions, and they'd go through them each 3 times. So they would sit down, question 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. Okay. Now we're going to ask question 1, 2, 3, 4 again. Question 1, 2, 3, 4 again.
Yeah.
And then they kind of judge off of how you answered.
It's like an average kind of, yeah.
Yeah. So everybody passed the polygraph test, except for one, and that was Alan. And the only reason he didn't pass is his was unconclusive, because he sat and answered the first 2 questions, like the first 2 sets, except one, and then set 2. And then during his 3rd set, he ripped everything off and got up and left. So he passed those 2 though, but then they had to say unconclusive because he didn't finish the 3rd.
Right.
So these questions were very like, where's Travis's body? Do you know where Travis's body is? Did you kill Travis? And then there was only one question. It was the very last question. And it asked, were aliens the reason for Travis's disappearance?
They're very leading questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So at that point, they're like, hell yeah, like they know now. And even the polygraph person was like, oh yeah, I didn't believe you at all. And I knew that y'all were going to get arrested after this, but even now I believe you. Like, you all passed that, which is crazy.
That is wild.
Yeah.
So that same night, Travis's brother-in-law had gotten home from work. So it was Travis's brother-in-law and his sister. And the phone rings. And he answers the phone. And there's a person at the end of the phone that says, "This is Travis, come and get me." And he's pissed. He's like, "This isn't funny. Don't call me in saying this." And then finally he's like, no, please don't hang up. Please don't hang up. Don't hang up. This is Trav. Like, come get me, please. I'm like, he kind of like described where he was. And he was a few towns over. I think it was called Heber. I couldn't really understand. They had very strong accents.
I'm like shaking right now. This is making me emotional.
Yes.
What is this? Is wild.
Yeah. So they figure out where he's at. Then the brother-in-law goes to Travis's mother's house, and his brother Don is there. And so they both go to where Travis described, and he was sitting inside of a payphone. You know, like the old, you can sit in the little things. So they said they had to pick him up and put him in the truck. And they kept trying to ask him questions, and he was like, the more they kept asking me, the more confused I would get, because I didn't remember. And he said that by the time he had hung up the phone, he was like, I must have passed out, because it was almost instantly that they were pulling me out of the payphone. And it was like almost an hour away. Plus he had stopped at his mom's house to get the brother. So like, it's crazy. But in an old interview, so this was a quote, he said, "I found myself laying on the roadway, and I saw a craft hovering there, just sat there for a second. That's the last I seen it." And then he had to get up, and he said he felt like he was walking for about an hour before he found the payphone and called his sister's house.
Wow.
And he said the hardest part of everything was trying to comprehend that he had been gone for an entire week. He had been gone for 5 days.
Yeah.
And he was like, I thought it was the same night. I didn't realize that I had been gone that long.
Yeah.
And then it's crazy. I hate it. Oh my God. See?
So sad.
Trauma.
Yeah.
Yes.
Trauma. Okay, so his brother calls APRO, which is Aerial Phenomena Research Organization. So these people go and like research like alien abductions and stuff, just to see like
what it could possibly be.
Like, what it could have been, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So his brother calls them because he wants Travis protected from the media and law enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
So he calls them. The medical doctors agreed to do an examination. They left in the middle of the night to a hotel in Phoenix, and they checked in under a different name. So keep in mind, this is all the APRO that told them, like, this is what you need to do. You're going to show up here. You're going to sign in this name. Cool. They specifically wanted to do it this way because they didn't want anyone to know he was back. They didn't want anybody trying to, like, spy on them or, like, get this leaked before they could do, like, a full examination and get his story and all of that fun stuff.
I mean, like, the whole world was trying to cover it already.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Everyone's looking for it. Yeah.
Nutso pants. Okay, so in this hotel room is where the doctors came and we're going to do their examination. This is what he told the doctors happened after he got out of the truck. So right before Mike stopped and he's already out of the truck walking to the thing. He said he started walking towards it, and he started walking towards it because he thought that it was going to drive away before he got close to it. Like, he was like, I just wanted to see it. He's like, and he said that he had a drop, like some sort of like weird want, like he needed to go look at it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, that's scary. I don't like that.
It does.
He heard that humming noise, and he said it was like a loud hum or like a high frequency, and it would get higher. And he said at that point it scared him, so he kind of bent down trying to like hide from it. And then finally he got to the point where he was like, okay, I'm going to stand up, I'm going to run back to the truck. And right when he stood up is when that blue light hit him. And then the next thing that he remembers is waking up on the side of the road, walking to the payphone. So
I can only imagine.
We hate that.
Yeah.
So they took blood and urine samples, and they were trying to look to see if he had any drugs in his system. And there was none. He had no drugs in his system. Which I don't know how long, like, if you do drugs, how long it takes to get out of your system.
It depends
on what it
like,
is.
Would a week suffice? You know, I feel like you would still be able to test for it.
It depends. Like, hallucinogens are more likely to stay in for longer. So, yes.
Okay. Well, that's probably what they were.
Probably, yeah.
Mostly interested in.
Exactly, yeah.
So the operator who had taken the phone call, so this is 75. So when you pick up the phone, you call, you get an operator, and they literally take out your little thing and patch you through to whoever it is that you wanted to talk to. So they can literally listen to your phone calls.
Yeah. I
don't know if y'all were aware of that, but that sucks for the like old Southern ladies who were sharing all the drama. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So she recognized the name and listened and realized that this was big news.
Oh, God.
So she goes and tells the police station what happened. So this whole time he's been home, the police don't know. They had no idea. Nobody called and told them Travis.
That's probably a good idea.
Right.
And so the sheriff was, I don't know if he's passed away, but the person that was doing the interview in this documentary was his daughter. And she said she remembered him being so upset because it was an active missing persons case. And they were actively out searching for him. And he was home and no one told them.
Yeah.
So he was like, this looks very fishy.
Yeah.
Valid.
Like, this is not okay. Which, again, I get.
Right.
But his brother was like, but when we got him in the truck, he was so emotionally unstable. There was no way he was going to be able to deal with questioning.
No.
And especially with the media.
Right.
But the media goes nuts again because they find out Travis is alive and home.
Mhm.
And so it just goes through the roof. And it was actually really cool because the documentary shows like old news
Articles.
news
Articles.
clips and like
Mhm.
news articles, and you'll see the guys looking way 70s, and they're like, remember that story that we told you last week where that man was taken by aliens? Well, he's home. Like, it was just crazy. It was so cool looking. I was like, this is real. That's what people were watching
Yeah.
in the 70s. Okay, so even though all this is going on, he's still in his hotel room and no one knows where he's at. They know he's alive and then he's home, but they don't know where.
Yeah.
He agreed to do regressive hypnosis.
Mhm.
So I don't know if you guys know, I forgot, I think it was Betty. It'll come back at the end, but there was another really famous abduction story of this couple, and they did regressive hypnosis, and they had it recorded, and it was terrifying. And I'm sad that you guys have no idea what I'm talking about right now because it really is scary. Like there's like clips of them, like, because they're hypnotized, so they're like asleep and they're like screaming and they're like, we have to get out of here, and they're like running. Like, it's so scary.
I need to watch this.
But so they know that this is gonna like make him remember what happened. And yes. So on November 14th, 4 days after he had returned, he meets with Dr. James Harder, and he's the one that's going to do the hypnosis. His brother and Dana were there. So Dana is Mike's sister. That's the girl that he had been dating.
Yeah.
She was there and his brother were there. Okay, so he gets it. This is what happened. I'm going to look at my thing because I don't want to lose my spot because there's a lot. So he wakes up. He's laying on his back and he thinks he's in a hospital. And there's a light above him. And he said the light wasn't so bright that he couldn't see. But, you know, when you have like, it was dark in there. So, you know, like you have a light. And so it's like hard to like kind of make out everything around you. He could tell that he was in a small space and that there was something laying on his chest. Some sort of machine or something laying on his chest. He was trying to look around and he saw a few faces and everything was kind of blurry. And at first he thought it was doctors wearing surgical masks. And then whenever they came closer and he could really see them, he realized that it was an alien face. He said they were about 5 feet tall, no hair, white skin, small features besides large eyes.
Ugh. Okay.
I hate it.
So also, I don't know, again, I know that y'all, I don't know if you do care about aliens as much as I do, but there's different kinds of aliens. And the ones that he's describing are the gray ones. That's what they call them.
Yeah.
And they're the most common quote alien that people have seen or described or whatever. So at this point, he freaks out and he tries to jump off the table. The thing that was sitting on his chest falls to the floor. He gets up. He finds, he said, some sort of rod, and he's like swinging it, like trying to fight them off. And he's looking around and he realizes the only door to leave is behind the aliens. So he's like, what the hell? What am I going to do? He's trying to fight. He's standing there. They're staring at him. And all of a sudden, they all just leave the room.
Oh my God.
And he's like, I'm not going to sit here and wait for them to come back, and leaves the room. And he's looking around, trying to find some way out. He said the whole craft was dimly lit. Like it was kind of dark in there.
Mm.
And he described it as having little air. So he said it was like hard to breathe. It was hard to like catch his breath. Like he was having to breathe heavy.
Mm-hmm.
He said it was really humid and really thin. So when he said thin, I'm assuming he meant the air, like breathing,
like mountain air.
Mm-hmm. So he finds another door and he opens it, and there's one chair sitting there, and there's no one in the room. So he said he started walking towards the chair, and there was lights that you could see, like that were almost like hovering, like little lights. And then he said once he got where he was sitting in the chair, then you could actually see it was a map of stars. But you could only tell what it was when you were sitting in the chair. If you were anywhere away from it, it just looked like little lights. Wow. I'm like, that is actually really fucking cool.
Yeah, it is.
I know that's scary, but that's actually really cool.
That is really cool.
Yeah.
So he sits in the chair and he's trying to like figure out what's going on. See, this is why I said I wasn't going to look away from my thing, because there was a lot. Now I'm like, alien. On the like armchair, there was a pad that had almost like buttons on it that were lighting up. And he thought, okay, because he could see that there were doors all over this little room. Mm-hmm. So he thought that if he pressed the buttons, that one of them would open the doors.
Yeah.
So he sat there, he's pressing the buttons. Nothing's working. So he's like, okay, well, I need to go try to find somewhere else. I need to figure out how to get out of here. So he gets up and he turns around and he's like, oh shit, there's someone standing here. And he's like, oh my God, it's a human. He's got a mask on. He's like, hell yeah. He thought it was Air Force, NASA, like somebody coming to get him. And he's like yelling at the guy. And he's like, where are we? How did you get in here? How do we get out of here? And the guy will not say anything. Won't talk to him. Won't look at him. Isn't making any sort of like emotion or anything. And just standing there. So the guy takes him by the arm and starts walking him down a hallway. He said there were a few other doors, but he stopped at one certain door, but he didn't open it. Like it just opened on its own. And he said that was weird, obviously. Because he himself was having to physically open these doors, and this guy just stood next to it and it opened. So they start going down this little hallway, and he realizes that the air is colder and he can breathe better. And the light was really bright, like it was outside. So this guy was taking him out of the spaceship. That's what this little hallway was doing, was taking him out. And these are called Nordic aliens. So he was taken down this little hallway. He gets to this little room, and there's a lot of other human-looking people standing there. And they don't have masks on. And he said, again, he's trying to ask questions. They're not talking back to him. They kind of look like they're almost confused. And so Nordic aliens are all human-like, and they said they're very Scandinavian. Like they almost look like they could be from like Switzerland. They're very light, white skin.
Yeah.
Blondish, brownish hair. So he realizes after he kind of like, okay, I'm in this room with these people that are not talking to me. And he realizes there's an examination table in the middle of them. They were all kind of standing around it. And they are trying to get him on the table. And he said he was fighting with all his might. But they easily just got him on it. Like it was not a fight for them at all. They just set him on there.
Nope.
They put a mask on his face. He said it was kind of one of those like oxygen masks, those like big ones that go around your face. And he blacked out and woke up on the road.
Holy shit.
So what the hell happened to this dude? Who fucking knows?
Oh my
what
God.
they did to him? And that's the scariest part. Because it's like, did they put a tracker in you? Are they going to track you now? Are they going to come back and test you again? You know, like they do with rats.
Exactly.
Like they give you medicine and then they come back and, you know, like. Okay. So after all the testing, he ends up going back to Snowflake, Arizona, and everyone said that he was just different. Like he was very on edge all the time. He seemed scared all the time.
Yeah.
And Dana was like, because she was the one that watched the hypnosis, and she was like, I just cried. She was like, and I felt so bad. I felt like I needed to help him, and there was nothing I could do. And she was like, I'd never seen him scared before, and he was just terrified.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, all right. So now for a third time, the media goes fucking crazy because now he's home. Like he's actually home, and they can see him, and he's alive.
Right.
He wanted to try to calm everything down. He thought, like, okay, if I go on a couple interviews, then they'll leave me alone, because they were literally, like, hundreds of them were surrounding his house, his mom's house, everything. Like, they were just there and annoying.
Yeah.
And everybody in Snowflake were not happy about all these media people being there, which, again, I get. I mean, a little teeny tiny town, and now all these people are showing up, and it's not just media; it's all the alien people that want to go and see where the guy was abducted, and you know, so it's just crazy, and they're not happy about it. So a lot of them are still like, "No, this is a big con, a big joke, and now my town is going to shit because of what you did." And a couple of the crew members ended up moving somewhere that nobody knew their name or whatever, because they, you know, Dana and Travis ended up getting married 2 years after he came home. And she was saying even then, like, she couldn't go to the store without people kind of, you know, like side-eyeing her, like giving her looks, and all these rumors about them, like they were all on drugs and, you know,
anything to justify it.
Like, exactly. So here's a lot of reasons why people thought this was a scam. The logging contract they had was a very large area.
Yeah.
And they had done about 80% of it. And they weren't going to get paid if they didn't finish it. And that contract, I mean, maybe had a month left, maybe. And just so happened that Mike gets a phone call getting threatened. And that same day, Travis goes missing. And the contract, the only way that it could be like changed, or if they'll allow more time or anything, it had an act of God clause in it. So huge gigantic snowstorm happens, tornado, fires, something, something that's not your fault.
Nothing they can't control. Yeah.
Exactly. So people are like, oh, well, they're like, oh, this is, you know, this is how they're going to get out of this, because Travis is missing.
Yeah.
So now they don't have to finish their work, or if their work doesn't get finished, that's why.
Right.
And Travis and Mike had tried before these like get rich quick kind of scenarios.
Yeah.
And, you know, 75 was like the height of alien whatever. And, you know, him and his brother and his mom had always talked about aliens and were always interested in aliens. So they were like, okay, they just thought of a plan that were like alien, because, you know, they enjoyed aliens. So they were like, well, this is how we can make money, because I'm going to get abducted by aliens. And the police officers had even said, like, the mom, you could tell, was a little worried, but nothing that a mother should be. And it was because she told them that a few like weeks before Travis got abducted, that he told her, if I ever get abducted by aliens, don't worry, because I'll come home in a few days.
God damn it, Travis.
So, you know, who knows?
You're right. Who knows?
So, you know, all of that, but here's everything that contradicts that. Even though Travis was missing, there was no way. It wasn't an act of God. He wasn't going to finish a contract.
Yeah.
And so he still didn't get paid the full amount. He got paid for like 80% of the work or whatever it was. And then they ended up having other people come in and finish it. So really it threw back on Mike that this happened because they weren't able to finish. And, you know, there was nowhere for him to hide. Like, it gets freezing cold in Arizona at night. If he was out there in a jeans and a t-shirt, he wouldn't have survived for 5 days. There's just no way.
Right.
And they said that his physical condition, so this was weird. He was dehydrated and he had lost 10 pounds. And his blood work, so we should all know how ketones work. So when you're not eating specifically, your body starts like eating off of its fat and stuff. And that's what makes you into ketosis and ketones. So you can find them in your blood. Well, he had none. No ketones in his blood. So if he hadn't eaten for 5 days, he would have had plenty. So they were like, they must have known some kind of way to nourish him to keep this from happening.
Right.
And there was a lot, like a high level of UFO sightings before this, like a week or so before this happened. And one in particular, the woman had said there was a low rumbling sound when it started trying to move. And so she ran away. I was like, okay, well then maybe it's the same shit because that's what Travis heard.
Yeah.
And then on February 7th, 1976, Travis and Dawn both took a lie detector test and they both passed. And now he's just living his life, married to Dana still. They still live together. And yeah. And it was really sad because there was one part, and I hate when they do these in movies, and I get it's for or documentaries, and I get it's for like the drama, but they had Travis and Dana sitting at their kitchen table and they're like flipping through like their kids' baby books and stuff. And they're like making him ask her questions where he was like, did you think that, Mike and the other guys had murdered me and they were trying to hide it? Was there any part during when I was missing that you thought that? She's like, no, I didn't. Like, keep in mind, Mike's her brother. Like, of course she's not going to think my brother killed somebody. And she was like, no, I didn't. And he was like, were you worried I wasn't coming home? And then she just starts bawling. And she was like, I was so afraid I lost you, blah, blah. And I'm like, why the hell? Like, that's why I like can't stand when like horrible things happen. Like fucking news people going to ask parents after a school was shot up. Like, how did this make you feel? Like really fucking shitty. Why are you sitting here asking Anyway, it just irritates the shit out of me. And I felt so bad for her because now this is going to be on TV, like watching her cry and be upset like that. And like, they just loved it. They were like, fuck yeah, we got her crying. I'm going to put that in the documentary. Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to get off my soapbox, but still it was like so annoyed about it.
No, I completely, I'm with you.
Anyway, but it was really sad but I was like totally scared, but he said nothing, like he's never seen another one since. They haven't like come back for him or anything. So
yeah. Can you imagine something fucking like life-changing happening to you and no one believes you?
No one. It would make you feel insane.
Oh my God. I can
Like,
only.
And then you
literally
almost
crazy.
start to believe that what they're telling you or accusing you of is right.
Yes.
Yeah.
You try and make it
Yes.
logical. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
Good job.
Thank you.
I don't
It was a little
understand.
longer than I thought it was going to be.
I don't understand why I can listen to true crime all day and I'm like, oh yeah, fine. But this shit is like, it's really in my head right now.
Because it's the unknown, really.
Yes.
And it's
Yeah.
like, it is a little hard to wrap your mind around. So it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like the ocean. Like the ocean is fucking
Oh,
terrifying.
don't even get me started.
Mm.
I have gotten sucked into the freaking North Sea TikToks. So scary. And I literally be like, Richard, watch. Richard, look.
Yes.
And he's like, will you stop? And I'm like, I was like, me watching these is like Richard watching like airplane crashes.
Yes. Yeah.
Same.
And so
Exactly.
he's like, will you stop? And I'm like, look, it's so scary.
Yeah. And they keep like finding all these animals and shit under, like, they still keep finding stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They found an ocean under the ocean. Like, literally anything.
That's where the mermaids go swimming. That's why they go to the beach.
Yeah, that's their beach. Yeah. Oh my God.
I know. It's so scary.
Good job.
Don't even get me started about the ocean. I will freak out.
We should do like a Bermuda Triangle story or something.
I love those too. Again, it's just because they're so creepy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
it's terrifying.
were watching, speaking of stuff you probably shouldn't watch, because Richard's going to be out of town. And so I'll be home by myself. Well, not by myself. I mean, I don't have my kids here, but anyway, we were watching like scariest things caught on like Ring cameras. And I was watching them and I was like, turn it off. Turn it off.
Yeah.
Hard pass.
Nope, not doing
No.
it. I was like, I can't watch this.
There's
I will cry.
The American Horror Stories, like the individual episodes. There's one about a Ring doorbell, and it's intense. It's wild.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Ugh, I can't watch it.
No. I don't even have a Ring doorbell, but I know that everybody that I know does. So we're just not going to do that.
Yeah.
Not happening.
Oh, I got them all over. So.
Oh yeah.
Y'all just froze for like the 20th time.
You just froze.
You just froze. Really what happened is you froze.
What?
That's what actually happened.
You said y'all just froze, and then Sage was like, actually, you froze.
You
literally
froze right as you told us that we were freezing.
It's happened every couple of minutes. Like,
oh God.
So the videos are going to be probably not great, but
this is not okay.
We do. This is absolutely ridiculous.
If anybody has any recommendations of where we can record our podcast, please let us know.
Because obviously this is not where it's at. Watch everybody, because I'm not saying it because I'm not giving them anything, but like watch everybody be like, "Oh, this one." We're like, "That's the fucking one we use."
That's the one we use. Yeah.
Oh,
damn. That was really good. And now I'm going to be up all night thinking about aliens. Thanks.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And let me know. And then all of our TikToks are going to be about aliens.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So
I'm starting to get the
I'm going to be sending them all to you.
Recently. They're terrifying. But yeah.
So scary.
All right. Well, Storm, where can they find the rest of us? The rest of us. There's more. The aliens. Where can they find us? I don't know. Don't bring that into my life. Please, I need you to tell me where the aliens are, Storm, because I know you know.
Really, I'm friends, and I'm playing it off as I'm scared, just because I don't want you to come find me.
Exactly. Yeah. Where can they find us if they would like to hear more of us?
We are on Facebook, Three Siblings Walk Into a Bar. We are on Instagram at Three Swift Podcast. Go on there, like, comment, do all the things. We really enjoy it. Also, please rate and review. It's really, really helpful for us. Mm-hmm. And you can go watch us on the tubes, the YouTube.
Yes. Yeah.
So go on there and you can watch, like, comment on those as well.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
Right. Well, that's what happens when 3 siblings walk into a bar.